Let's get started. My name is Sung Sung Jang. I'm the graduate program director in Fowler College of Business. Thank you for joining this webinar. This is one of our first years that we are able to work with Financial Aid and Scholarship Office to provide specific student-centric advices related to financial aid and scholarship to Fowler graduate students. Before we go in, I first want to congratulate you for getting admitted into Fowler. Here, we are very proud of our academic prowess and our academic ranking. And I look forward to working with you in the fall and to start a new chapter for your graduate studies for your academic career. So let me introduce what's on the webinar with us. We have Sue Gollet and we have Carrie Hooker from the Financial Aid Office and Scholarship Office. We also have Ryan Ross, who is our Fowler Marcom Director. And we have Kayla. We have Kayla Palau, who is also, some of you might already communicated with her. She is one of our academic advisors in Fowler College of Business. So let me start with Sue. Sue, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for inviting us here. We're very excited to be here to present this information to you. My name is Sue Goulet, and I'm one of the assistant directors in the Financial Aid Office.
Carrie?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Carrie Hooker, and I'm the Director of Scholarships in SDSU's Scholarship Office, and very happy to be with you today.
Okay. Ryan?
And my name is Ryan Ross. I'm the Marketing Director at the Fowler College of Business. And I also welcome all of you to the webinar and congratulations on being new students at the Fowler College of Business.
Great. Kayla?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kayla. I'm one of the academic advisors for the Graduate Programs Office. Welcome to our university, and I hope you have a great stay with us.
Great. Thank you. So let's get started. So please, I love to keep the webinar really interactive. So I will be actively monitor the Q&A sessions. And so keep your questions coming. For the questions that apply to multiple students, I will peg them for answered live. And so we'll start with a short presentation, and then we'll go into the Q&A session. Let's get started.
Perfect. Let's see. So again, welcome everybody. Excuse me, my name is Sue Goulet, and I'm one of the assistant directors in the Financial Aid Office, and I'm joined by our scholarship director, Carrie Hooker. Today, we're going to go over the following areas: important terms, cost of attendance, types of aid for graduate students, and that includes both institutional, state, as well as federal aid, scholarships, resources, which may include fellowships, assistantships that you may be receiving that could impact your aid eligibility, changes in your financial aid eligibility, and then finally, ACRT, or the Economic Crisis Response Team, and CalFresh. So the FAFSA, or the California DREAM Act applications, are the tools in which we use to determine a student's financial aid eligibility. The application for the FAFSA is due every October, so you want to make sure that you apply for financial aid using either the FAFSA or the DREAM Act application to be considered. We encourage students to apply early to ensure that they're considered for all types of aid, just because some of our programs, specifically our state aid programs, are not an unlimited source of funding. So we do run out, and it's important that if you want to be considered for all types of aid, that you apply early each year. So when you fill out the FAFSA or California DREAM Act application, you're actually including income and asset information for yourself. And since you're graduate students, it would be your spouse if you're married. And using that information, the feds calculate what's called the Student Aid Index, which is formally the expected family contribution. The Student Aid Index is actually what we use in the financial aid office to determine eligibility for financial aid. The lower the Student Aid Index, with the lowest possibly being negative 1,500, the higher the opportunity is that you may qualify for some of the state aid grants. Cost of attendance is assigned for each student, and I'll go over that more on the next slide. The cost of attendance is important because it sets the limits as far as how much a student can receive in federal, state, institutional scholarships over the course of the academic year. And then finally, resources such as scholarships, traineeships, stipends, as I mentioned before, all of those, while not awarded by our office specifically, can impact your eligibility for financial aid. So for the 25-26 academic year, this is the current cost of attendance. And as you can see from this chart, it's delineated by where you are residing, with the lowest cost of attendance for students living with parents and the highest cost of attendance living in the residence halls. While that's not typical for graduate students, there is graduate housing available. I know the Housing Administration Office on campus, I would say within the last couple of years, developed a graduate student housing area. But I know for the most part, most students who are finished with their bachelor's pursuing post-baccalaureate degrees typically reside in an off-campus apartment. So, excuse me, we'll use the final or the last column of living off campus for this example. So if you're living off campus, the total cost of attendance is $35,616. And what that means is that even though you're not residing on campus, we still factor in that you have the expense of room and board in addition to transportation miscellaneous. And so while you wouldn't owe $35,616 to SDSU, you'd only be liable for your tuition and fees. We still factor in that you have those housing expenses. And so when determining your aid eligibility, that is also factored in. Please pay particular attention to the two notes below the chart. So for students in the college, Fowler College of Business, like you all are, you're also charged an additional fee at a rate of $303 per unit of coursework each semester that you're enrolled. If you are a non-resident student, in addition to the campus fees noted in the table, you're paying an additional $444 per unit of tuition for each semester that you're considered a non-resident. So why is the cost of attendance important? The cost of attendance is important because we can only award financial aid up to a student's cost of attendance. So if you are a full-time graduate student living off campus, then the maximum amount of aid that you could receive for an academic year would be the $35,616, while also taking into account the additional $303 per unit being in the Fowler College of Business. And if you're a non-resident, we would factor in those additional non-resident costs as well. Types of aid that you could be considered for, we'll start with the grant aid first. So the State University Grant is a state-funded program specifically designed to cover the state university fee of the tuition. So it doesn't cover campus-based fees, but it covers tuition. Eligibility is based on financial need as determined by the FAFSA application. So in looking at student aid index, the maximum student aid index you can have to qualify for state university grant is 4,000 for the 25-26 academic year. You must also be an in-state resident. And because this is not an unlimited source of funding, It is based or awarded on a first come, first served basis, which again reiterates the point of making sure that you're applying for aid early. So if you wait to file your FAFSA while you may still qualify for loans, you may jeopardize your eligibility for the state university grant. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, you are paying an additional $303 per credit or per unit of enrollment while you're enrolled in the program. Part of that funding is essentially returned to students in the form of the Graduate Business Professional Fee Grant. It's not a huge source of funding, so eligibility, like the State University Grant, is based on financial need. It's based on in-state residency status, when you completed the FAFSA, and then also limited to students in the college, Fowler College of Business, who pay the additional fee. So unfortunately, as I mentioned, it's not an unlimited source of funds, so not every eligible student receives an award. So apply early, as I mentioned. The other types of aid that we typically award as part of our packaging procedure is unsubsidized loan, which is an interest-bearing loan. There is a cap as to how much you can borrow each academic year, and that amount is $20,500. The interest rate is determined every July 1st for the upcoming academic year. So the interest rate as you begin your program in the fall for the unsubsidized loan program is 7.94% interest. The Graduate Plus loan is similar to the unsubsidized loan in that it is an interest-bearing loan at a 1 percentage point higher rate at 8.94%. Unlike the unsubsidized loan, which is a guaranteed loan, the Grad Plus loan is a credit-based loan, so you must pass the credit check in order to qualify. It fills the gap between your other aid and the cost of attendance. And while repayment starts within 60 days of issue, you can opt to defer those payments until you graduate from the program. The one thing that you should note is that the Grad Plus loan does not display as part of your financial aid award on your my.sdsu. You do have eligibility for the Graduate Plus loan. If you want more specifics as to what that eligibility looks like, you can reach out to me and I'll provide my email at the end of this presentation. But you would qualify for the Graduate Plus loan or Plus loan eligibility. It just does not appear on your award, and you do apply for it through Federal Student Aid, which is the same website you use to complete the FAFSA application. Finally, there are private or alternative student loan options. That's through a private bank that you may already be doing business with. The cautionary tale that I would say with private loans is that you want to be very mindful of the terms of the loan. Interest rates are typically higher than what the federal government can offer, sometimes as high as 25 to 30%, which is egregious. Interest rates immediately are paid and capitalized. We still have to include that as part of your financial aid award, even though we're not awarding you the private loan, and can affect other types of your financial aid. The other thing to keep in mind is that with private loans, they don't always have the federal provisions that come with the federal loans that we have. So just be very careful if you're going this route to be sure that you're aware of all of the terms and requirements of those loans.